A politician thinks about the next election, but a leader thinks about the next generation. I am a leader of tomorrow who believes we can change the church with only 3 words. And yes, we can. So, as I proceed, allow me to recognize the presence of all the important people here, the judges, the timekeeper, to the panelists, or protocols observed. So allow me to pump knowledge into the proposal side with a motion that states, should youth be given high positions in church? I strongly oppose this motion. Okay? So point number 1. Giving young people high positions can not only prepare them to become future leaders. Okay? So what I'm simply saying here is that someone cannot just become a leader without being given, without a background. You need to become a leader because you are given.
Interjection. Members of the House, indeed affiliates to this proceeding. The precarious speaker is misled and she has failed to understand the motion. The motion reads, youth should not. Take note of youth should not, and the precarious speaker is opposing. However, the precarious speaker has brought in a point that youth should be prepared for the positions that are going to be taken in the future. Members of the House indeed affiliates to this section. The precarious speaker is in essence supporting us. So may you understand the motion before you debate it. Thank you. I appreciate your words.
In our motion, there's a word should not. Meaning, if we are opposing, we are agreeing to say they should be given high leadership in church.
Point of defense.
Point of defense.
The current speaker, it also seems you're also astray. You are lost, totally lost. The motion just clearly states youth should not be given high positions in church. You are supposed to be telling us the reasons why we as youths are not supposed to be given high positions in church. So you don't know what you're talking about, man.
Point number 1. Giving young people high positions in church does not only prepare them to become future leaders, but can also allow them to contribute to the church. And this is seen many times in the Bible, as God often used young people to do great things. For example, God used Timothy to pastor the Ephesians church when he was still a teenager. And we have evidence. History has proven it. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 4, yes. The Good Samaritan is passing over to the judges. Point number 2. Youths grow spiritually if they're given a high position in church. They can't do anything to ruin their reputation because they know all eyes are on them. Some millennials are telling like I'm given a high position in church. No, because it's in a type of church. Point number 3, they become spiritually knowledgeable. If given an assignment, they make sure they research stories. They set a good example to their fellow youth.
Point of interjection.
They groom themselves into becoming future leaders, so that even if they grow, they want to take part from. They want to.
Point of interjection. The current speaker and my sister in Christ, you are still lost. The major reason why you're standing up front is to tell us the reason why you young people should be given high positions in church, but you are lamenting. Shed more light on what you're talking about, please.
I strongly feel our forces have not understood the motion. There is should not. Meaning, if we are opposing, we're supposed to give you reasons why youth should be given leadership in church. Yes. That's what she's doing.
Yes. A concurrent point of defense. Members of the House, indeed affiliates to this proceeding. Debating is all about strategy. Members of the House, if we can redefine this motion, us as the proposing side, we can read it as youth should at no point be given a position in change. And these, as the opposers, are indeed saying, no, youth should be given a position in church. So the current defender in saying we are lost seems exactly that this person is the one who's lost. I submit. Thank you.
Yes, that cannot fully understand. I don't
So, teaching young people in the church to also broaden their relationship in the Lord. It also prepares them to serve Christ in all they do. As a result, this nurtures their congregation and also allows the church to flourish. A church that does not believe in young leaders is a church that has drifted from our great history, a history of equipping and empowering the young to lead. A church that does not believe in young leaders is disregarding how God has chosen to work. Church should believe in young leaders. Thank you.
Members of the House of Intellectuals, may I pass my sincere greetings to the order of seniority in the House, or may I simply say, I salute all the protocols. Members of the House and these affiliates to this session, I being the co-speaker and the icebreaker of the motion, may I define certain key terminology, including the least expected to be defined. Members of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding, youths, these are young age groups. Members of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding, should not, meaning members of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding, people who are between the age of 1 up to 35, who are regarded as youth, should not be given any position in church. As we may be aware, a church is a religion and a faith organization that encodes Christians in it. Members of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding. The youth, according to Zambia defines youth starting from the age group of 14 to 35. So tell me, can you allow someone who is 14 years, I repeat, 14 years, to intervene in a marriage situation of people who are 65 years? Members of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding. It is illogical to think that youth are in a better position to be given leadership positions in church. One may argue to say youths are the leaders of tomorrow. Yes, members of the House, members of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding. But we are forgetting that these leaders, if I may use a Bemba saying, they say, members of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding. This is the more reason why elders should be. Members of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding. The precurrent in agenda is misled. Members of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding. The Bible should not just be interpreted in the literal sense. Members of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding. There should be a way of following the interpretation of the Bible. And if I may quote the same Bible, Titus says, give the leadership position to people who are well organized up there. Members of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding. Then, how do you expect someone who just wakes up, who depends on their parents, who depends on their parents for everything, even for the little offering that we pay in church, to be a leader in that church? Leadership needs to have a standing that is in a well position to lead people in a logical manner. Members of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding. If I may pose a question to the opposers, why is it that Nelson Mandela, when he was addressing the American conference of the 14th American conference, said, give leadership positions to people who fully understand all human beings? Are you telling me a person who is 15 years old, I emphasize, can lead someone who's 35?
My fellow panelists, remember I say, Ubukalamba man, Kemobidi, Nangu, a 15-year-old boy can have more wisdom than someone who's 35.
Wow. Members of the House indeed affiliated to this proceeding. If I may manipulate certain facts about the members, they say Amanu Yakumamu Ikwesa, Yaya Mtulu. Members of the House, that is wrong. Members of the House indeed affiliated to this proceeding. Do you expect me, who is 19 years old, turning 20 years old, to tell my parents to say, Mommy or Daddy, what you did here pertaining your marriage is wrong? Members of the House, that is what leadership, church leadership is all about. It is not just about leading in scriptures or in whatever. It is about leading in all essence of life. Social aspect, economic aspect, and as well, maternal aspect. Members of the House, indeed, the this proceeding, may I submit, I thank you.
We feel you, fool.
Gone are the days of Mr. David Kaunda, and gone are the days of Nelson Mandela. But these are the days of Godfrey Lwandodo. Gone are the days of Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. Gone are the days of Nelson Mandela. But these are the days of Godfrey Lwandodo. Have knowledge to the opposing sides. I'm hereby to oppose to this motion which says you should not be given high leadership in church. Or I simply say yes, they should be given high leadership in church. Before I go any further, allow me to recognize the presence of the chairman and all the judges and the timekeeper. And then I go to my following points. By joining the youth, leaders and mentors work together to build leadership through participation in worship, reading and studying the Bible. Outside mission work, young people will develop a sense of pride, knowing God and committing themselves to service will inevitably bear good fruits. My second point, giving leadership to youth can connect youth to the missions of the church. Youth need a bridge to encounter the large mission of the church.
Interjection, please. Members of the House need affiliates to this proceeding. The precurrent speaker has clearly stated that connecting youth to leadership is a way of enhancing their spiritual journey. Members of the House need affiliates to this proceeding. Jesus Christ did state, and I quote, "Let the young children come to me." Jesus Christ at that point, he was the highest leader. We are not going to consider about his age because he is the spiritual being in a human form. Members of the House, he was about to impart knowledge so that at the point when these youths are going to be, they are going to be at a certain age that is capable, they are going to be better leaders and leaders who are not youth, leaders who are agile. Members of the House in the affiliates to this proceeding, may the precurrent speaker be clear about what he's talking about. I submit.
Again, the Bible says in Matthew 18:4, God said, "You want to be greatest in heaven, you must be a child." Why did Jesus go said? Because he knew how a child is. He knew how the child can bring about change to this world. God himself said that, and he said that to his disciples. That was his leaders. When I continue with my points. Giving high leadership, it teaches youth in the church to grow in their relationship with the Lord. It prepares to serve Christ in all they do. As a result, this nurtures the congregation and allows the church to flourish. And also, giving leadership to youth, it helps them to be introduced in
Point of interjection. Current speaker, as far as I'm concerned, ever since you started debating, I've not heard any adequate point as to why youth should be given positions in churches. Affiliated members of the Siampa, if a youth was to be given a position in church, believe you me, youth of nowadays are a bit exception from those that we knew back in the days. We've been influenced by the advancement in technology. If I'm given a position, I'm going to be using it as a ticket to pull up.
Yes, sometimes we might be lost, but as the congregation of the church, that they try to bring us together because they knew that as Someday you can be bishops, one day you can be priests, one day you can be animators. Those positions are supposed to be filled by us as youth, if we are taught by everyone. I continue. I said giving leadership to youth helps them to be introduced in a biblical foundation in order effectively to educate the youth. In addition, they must understand modern influences on Christianity, which allow them to identify youth and build meaningful relationship with them. My last point, youth bridge the gap between the younger and the older generation, passing the torch, so to speak, by contributing to the church and engaging with the other adults. There, the youth feel important, involved, and cared for. Eventually, those future positions are bishops, as I said, bishop, priests, and animators will be filled by them. As time progresses, they will be able to see themselves in future workers of Christ. My last point. It is important for the truth of the gospel to be passed on from generation to generation. So as youth, the adults are the ones responsible to giving us the guidance for us to be effective. But if we are not given the guidance, we are not able to fill that position that was filled by the previous leader. So it is important for us to be given that high leadership so that we can continue the work of Jesus Christ. So as I said, it's important for the truth of the gospel to be passed from generation to generation in order to grow the body of Christ. Therefore, helping youth to grow spiritually in their formative year will give them to make an impact for Christ both now and in their future. I read this.
Members of the Siam Papa, it was only South Africa that had a comrade by the name of Nelson Mandela, and only Zimbabwe had a comrade by the name of Robert Mugabe. Only Zambia has a freedom fighter like Kenneth David Kaunda. And believe you me, it is only Team 3D that has a speaker like Patrick Mwanza.
Members of the House, I welcome you. My name is I'm public. And I hereby opposing the motion that also may I welcome the judges. The judges in the panel are the time keeper. Members of the House, I welcome you. For the judges in the panel, I'm hereby opposing this motion that which states that you should want to be given high leadership position in the church. Yes, because the Bema problems are this. I never marvelous problems at this stage. We cannot give leadership to the person who cannot handle it. As a youth, me, at this age, I will be just influenced by a person who is...
Mary was given the Father, Jesus Christ. When she was a teenager.
Point of defense. Members of the House and the affiliates to this session, as we may be aware, we people being regarded as the church, the Catholic Church, are governed by the Code of Canon Law. And the Code of Canon Law requests that someone needs to be above the age of 35 to be given the position of a bishop. Members of the House, why is it important? They've gotten the understanding that indeed one needs to think beyond the box, one to reason and govern a lot of people with different mindsets, with different backgrounds, and of course with different social and cultural growing.
I remember those people. They were once youth before they become them. Me, before they come as the important members, before they knew everything. Once they were youth and they were taught by someone else.
Members of the House, I concurrently defend the point that I raised. Members of the House, he has clearly stated that they were guided being guided doesn't mean you are a leader. Being guided is just a way of being a leader. So what should be done is that youth should be guided to being leaders of tomorrow, not being youth leaders. Members of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding, may the interjectors and of course the precurrent defender of the point that I raised be sure why do they say they need to be guided? Because you gain and obtain knowledge as you are being guided to being a leader, not just being a leader from without. Members of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding, it is illogical to think that someone who is young, who is just a member of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding, let me bring a scientific fact to this table. The brain develops as much as you grow. Members of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding, I cannot compare the brain of a 15-year-old person to a brain of a 65-year-old person. And of course, the member saying says, Abakulu, by the quarter experience, members of the House indeed affiliates to this proceeding, why have I brought this saying to this House? Because once you are encoded, once you are guided into being a leader, you have the experience. So what needs to be done is that youth are to be guided in being leaders, not being given there and then leadership. I thank you.
I feel good. One needs to experience. One needs experience of being capable, being a future tomorrow, being a leader, being capable future leader tomorrow. For example, fathers. This is where they are being put. What's is right and wrong for them to preach and be capable of standing up front in the church. And as I said, let's say, who in a 15 years old, Bamupera responsibility as a government, let's actually, and Marasanga, I'm a disposition to one. I feel financial responsibility, and you say that, that's based on our one, she will have a cheap room, the political much time. Because I don't want no. Give him time to grow and be mature and capable enough to be a future tomorrow. And that's why youth cannot start at the leadership.
I feel you!
Yes!
They say when lions are fighting, the grass suffers the most. And when debaters are debating, emotions suffers the most. Allow me to best give respect to the high people in our leaders. Judges, I greet you. The timekeeper, please make sure to count each and every millisecond, because even the makers of time, Richard Mille, Rolex, particularly only makes time. But when it is lost, they can take it back. As I summarize my points given to me by my panelists, is to our motion stating leaders should not be given high leadership in church. Youth should be given high leadership in church because it helps them grow their relationship with God, in a sense that when someone is committed to church work, he or she will be reading the Bible most and knowing more about God. Second, being given high position in church helps to set good example to their fellow youths in the society. It sets as a good example in society because if you're a leader in church, obviously you'll be of good behavior and people from outside will be looking up to you. Thirdly, it helps contribute to the growth of the church, physically and spiritually. I'll give an example of our church here. If us youths are committed to the works of the church, it means the surrounding of the church will be clean, in that we're contributing physically to the appearance of the church. The next point, giving leadership to youths in church helps them to be introduced in the biblical foundation. When a 15-year-old boy is given leadership into church, he'll be brought up in a spiritual manner, in that he will know more about God and Christ. My second point, youths being given high position in church helps them grow spiritually. Like I said earlier, when a young person is given leadership in church, they will know more about God, they'll be reading the Bible. I rest the case.
For nothing. I'm Victor because I'm smart. And being smart is not all about looking bright and shiny, but you have to be specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and using term labels that you do. So before I proceed to go any further, allow me to recognize the most important people present in the House of Intellectuals. The panel containing judges, I presume. Time tika. Time ticks save time, because time wasted can never be restored. Not forgetting the precious people that are giving you the more wow and what like takes time of my convictions. You, my people, sit back and relax, because in this debate, I'm your body. I'm standing here, boldly, defamative, with emotion, which stimulates as I articulate. Youth should not be given high positions in church, of which I strongly disagree with the following points. Not just mere points, but these are points that are based on reality. Affiliated members of Victoria, as young people, I will cite myself as an example. I'm a chairperson of a youth-friendly space at the clinic. And me, being a young leader, what I do, for instance, if you are trying to organize something to do with an event, my members will start paying in the monies. Once they bring the monies to me, then my girlfriends will request for a thing. Because of the immaturity inside me, I'll take part of the money and procure whatever that my girlfriend wants. What is making me to do that? Proper immaturity. There is a difference between leadership and authority. Authority is a perception where any person is able to do any action that is going to enable a group to proceed and go in front. Whereas a leader, for instance, if I'm a leader, these people, whatever that has to do with anything that I have to do, I'll cite an example of a country. Assuming I'm your body for 2021, if the prices of all these household goods are inflating, your blames will be on me. So as a leader, I'm not supposed to be pushed. Whatsoever that has to be done to this country depends on me, because a leader is said to be the father of a nation. He's said to be the father of a church. He's said to be a father of all those people that are fatherless. Affiliated members of Victoria. The second point why we young people should never, for whatever reason, be given positions in church is due to the fact that once you make a mistake of giving a youth a position in church, you start feeling as if now we need a father. That is the perception of us young people. Once you are given a position, you are going to become a god on your own. People that you used to relate with back in the days will become your enemies, because you are going to feel you are so superior compared to the people that have no positions. Affiliated members of Victoria, young people. Affiliated members of Victoria, another reason why we as young people should never, for whatever reason, be given positions in church is due to the fact that there is a difference between social leadership and religious leadership. Things to do with God are things that are very sensitive. Affiliated members of Victoria, quite alright, I can be a chairperson of a certain youth-friendly space, but things to do with God are things that are supposed to be very sensitive, because affiliated members of Victoria, in my last point, the major reason why we as young people should never, for whatever reason, be given high positions in church is due to the fact that we lack maturity. Leadership is one thing that requires adequate skills that are going to enable me lead my people the way they're supposed to be governed. Back in the days, a lot of people were going astray. The same will never happen with this generation, because you've got advocates like Pastor, the talking machine, Emmanuel, and Patrick. With the above oriented points, our mission, we are convinced